I love this idea of the banks of the river and letting them go. Um, the river has always been a symbol of life's ongoing transition. You can never step into the same river twice. That's what they would say. But another really interesting idea, which has to do with this liminality, is if we stand actually in the river of change, what happens is old ideas can come to us and visions of the future can come to us. People now think that the word prophecy means to predict the future, but it really means to be so fully in the present that actually things from the past, like ancient forgotten ideas, can catch up to us, and visions of the future can come to us. And so we're in that river of change whether we like it or not. This is Rumi. This is how most people live, sleeping on the bank of a freshwater stream, their lips always dry with thirst. Listen, the love of far-off satisfactions keeps you from tasting the real water of where you are and who. The way is who and where you already are. It is sleeping in your very being. That which sleeps and wakes and dreams of the sweet water of life is the taste of the divine. So he's thinking about letting go of the banks and being in the river also. And it's pertinent to mention the divine because when real change occurs, when transformation occurs, when real communitas occurs, there's something divine about it. And the old idea was the initiate is afflicted and close to the divine. So let me go to one other thing about this. And this has to do with where I started with this pressure of all the crises coming down on us. In the middle of the rite of passage, in the middle of an initiation, two things are trying to happen in the depths. One is the awakening or reawakening of the dream of life. Another way to talk about it is the awakening of the person to their gifts. This can be collective as well as individual. In the collective culture, the diversity of the culture is the gift trying to awaken. A lot of people are trying to get rid of it when it's the gift of the culture trying to awaken. So you have something like that trying to awaken, and then at the same time you have core wounds. And so to me, the pressure from all the crises coming down on everybody is stirring both the core wounds of the culture. Here in the United States, that's seen primarily through racism. It's called the original sin. I call it the core wound. So we can't get healing and we can't get transformation without touching, feeling, going in, extracting knowledge from that wound and doing some healing. And then the same is true for the individual. We're now in this period of separation where most of us spend more time alone. And what happens is because of the pressure, the core wounds get pushed up to the surface. And so this is the time where we can experience and maybe can't even avoid experiencing the core wounds, but this is also a time to potentially heal them. So in rites of passage, if you think of it as people in a community or a tribal group or something going through it, the wounds would be awakened. In other words, the people who would be the initiators would be in some way aware of therapeutics. They would have some sense of psychology. As a matter of fact, cultures that don't have initiation practices tend to lack meaningful psychology, the United States. And so what's trying to happen in this liminal space that's trying to move into deep community, whether it's the group or the individual, because communitas happens in the depth of a person, what Carl Jung might call in the presence of the deep self. But on the way down there, we experience whatever the core wounds are. So it's an essential aspect of rite of passage and initiatory process, both to awaken and to heal. And so the word initiation means to begin, to step in. And the idea is the path of our life is one initiation after another. As a matter of fact, what they used to say is, You completed that initiation, and that was an accomplishment, and now that qualifies you for a greater and deeper initiation. The basis being the soul wants to transform. Something deep in ourselves wants us to become a true, vital version of ourselves. And the only way to get there is to transform. And the only way to transform is to let go of the banks, let go of everything we thought we were, reveal ourselves to ourselves. That's another phrase in initiation. Reveal ourselves to ourselves, and heal what is unhealed in us. Every society has its wounds. Every individual person has its wounds. We all have them from early on in life. It's part of being human. The old processes of rites of passage, as I understand them, were partly to do some healing. So that a person, for instance, going through, the girl or boy going through to become, step onto the path of becoming a woman or a man, but not in general, specifically the woman they are, the man they are already inside trying to wake up, that would require becoming more aware of how we are wounded. And so that people that would be considered, grown, or you could say even more fully human, would actually know their wounds and wouldn't be in this position that so many people in power are now, of denying their own wounds, denying their own vulnerability, and therefore lacking sympathy and compassion and apathy for other people's woundedness. The process of rite of passage would make us all more aware of woundedness and vulnerability, and all more respectful and tolerant of each other's wounds, and therefore all more compassionate and empathic. And those things, those qualities would be part of communitas.